Welcome back to our channel.
Hello, everyone. The podcast where we make learning English fun and easy. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Hey there, it's going well. Thanks, Lisa.
Chris will be hosting a few podcasts in Eric's place.
Yeah, I hope our followers like me as much as Eric.
I hope so, Chris. Let's start then. What are the words today, Chris?
The first word today is reliable. Then we will continue with to be fancy and I've got your back. Then to drop somebody or something off. And the final one is easier said than done.
Let's start with the first word, Chris.
The first word is reliable.
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 Reliable is a very useful word. It means you can trust or depend on someone or something.
Yes, that's right. Reliable is an adjective. We use it to describe people or things that you can trust to do something or to work well.
For example, you can say, he is a reliable man, or the car is reliable.
Now, let's give some example sentences to help our listeners understand better. My phone is very reliable. It always works well. It means that the phone works well, and you can trust it to work every time. It doesn't break or have problems.
Here's another example. Anna is a reliable friend. She is always there when I need her. It means that Anna is a friend you can trust. She will always help you and be there for you.
Great. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue that uses the word reliable. They are talking about a new babysitter for Mia's baby. But first, let's watch 2 movie clips.
Very reliable source told me Andy Kaufman has lung cancer.
I'm the most reliable person in this town. Ask anyone.
Hi, Mia. Have you found a new babysitter?
Yes, I have. Her name is Kate. She seems very reliable.
That's good to hear. Is she good with the baby?
Yes, she is. She's always on time and takes great care of the baby.
That's wonderful. It's important to have a reliable babysitter.
Absolutely. It makes me feel relaxed when I'm at work.
That was a great example. Jack and Mia were talking about their new babysitter, Kate, and how she is reliable.
Yes, they said she is always on time and takes great care of the baby. This means they can trust her to do her job well, so she is a reliable babysitter.
Exactly. Lisa, do you have any reliable people in your life?
Yes, I do. My colleague is very reliable. She always helps me with my work, and I can trust her to do a good job. How about you, Chris?
My neighbor is very reliable. Whenever I need help with my garden or anything else, he is always there to help. He never says no.
That's wonderful. Having reliable people in your life is very important. It makes things much easier and less stressful.
Absolutely. It's good to have people and things you can trust. So remember, if you want to describe someone or something that you can trust to do their job well or work well, you can say they are reliable.
Yes, and you can use reliable for things too, like a car or a machine. If it works well and doesn't break down, it's reliable.
That's a great point, Lisa. All right, everyone, that's it for the word reliable.
So let's move on to the next word.
The next word is to be fancy.
To be fancy.
To be fancy.
To be fancy means to be very nice, expensive, or decorated. It's used when something or someone looks very special or elegant.
Yes, and it's a phrase that describes something that is not ordinary. Fancy can be used as an adjective, like a fancy dress, or as a verb. But today, we're using fancy as an adjective, which means to look or be very special. Why don't you give the first example, Lisa?
Sure. Here's the first example. Her dress is very fancy. It has many decorations. It means that her dress looks very special and beautiful. It's not a simple dress. It has many nice details.
The second example, the restaurant is fancy. The food is expensive and very good. It means that the restaurant is very nice and elegant. It is more special than an ordinary place, and the food costs more money and tastes very good.
Great. Now let's listen to a short dialogue that uses the phrase to be fancy. The characters in our dialogue are Tim and Sarah. They are talking about a party they went to.
I'm not gonna have nice things, fancy things.
With his house, and his parties, and his fancy clothes.
Hi, Sarah. Did you go to the party last night?
Yes, I did. It was very fancy.
Really? What made it fancy?
The decorations were beautiful, and everyone was wearing fancy clothes.
That sounds amazing. I like fancy parties.
Yes, it was very nice. The food was fancy too.
In the example, Tim and Sarah were talking about a party that was very fancy.
Yes, they said the decorations and clothes were fancy. It means everything looked very special and elegant.
Lisa, have you ever been to a fancy place?
Yes, I went to a fancy hotel for a wedding a while ago. The hotel had beautiful decorations and very good food.
Yeah, I know those kinds of hotels. They are really nice and fancy.
It's nice to go to fancy places sometimes and see things that are very beautiful and special. But maybe not always, because we can get used to fancy things and then we might not like ordinary things.
Agreed, Lisa. I am happy with my lifestyle. So remember, listeners or viewers, if you want to describe something that is very nice, decorated, or elegant, you can say it is fancy.
Yes, and you can use fancy for many things like clothes, restaurants, and even parties.
All right, I think everyone understood what it means and the usage of to be fancy.
I think so, Chris. And now, the next word.
The next word is I've got your back.
I've got your back.
I've got your back. We use this phrase when we want to tell someone that we will support them, especially in a difficult situation.
That's right. It means that if you have any problems, I will be there to help you.
Exactly, Lisa. For example, if you say, I'm nervous about this test, I can respond, don't worry, I've got your back. It means that I am here to support you and help you with your test.
And if I say, I have a big soccer game tomorrow, you might tell me, I've got your back, Lisa. It means that you will support me and cheer for me during the game.
Now let's look at a sample dialogue using this phrase. Imagine two friends, Tom and Jerry. Tom is worried about moving to a new city, but first, movie clips.
T, I got your back. I've got your back.
Look.
I'm really stressed about moving to New York next week.
Hey, I've got your back. I'll help you pack and find a new apartment. Tom, remember, I've got your back always.
In this dialogue, Jerry is telling Tom that he will help him with his move. He's showing his support.
That's right. And later, Tom might say to Jerry, thanks for all your help, Jerry. I don't know what I would do without you.
This shows that Jerry is a good friend who is willing to help Tom at any time.
Now, Lisa, have you ever had someone say, I've got your back?
Yes, when I started my first job, my colleague told me this. It made me feel less worried because I knew someone was there to help me.
That's a great example. It's always good to know that someone has your back.
Absolutely. It gives you confidence and makes you feel supported.
Well, that's all for the phrase, I've got your back. Remember, listeners, if you ever need help understanding English, we've got your back.
Okay, let's move on to the next word, Chris.
The next word is to drop somebody or something off.
To drop somebody or something off.
To drop somebody or something off.
To drop somebody or something off is a phrasal verb. It means to take a person or a thing to a place and leave them there. It's often used with cars when you give someone a ride and then leave them at a certain place. Let's give some example sentences for better understanding. Here's the first example. Can you drop me off at the bus station?
It means that I'm asking someone to take you to the bus station and leave me there.
Here's another example. I will drop the kids off at school on my way to work.
It means that I will take the kids to school and leave them there before I go to work.
Great. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue that uses the phrase, to drop somebody or something off. The characters in our dialogue are Alex and Jane. They are talking about a package delivery.
You just drop me off at my place and take the car.
So, you want me to drop you off?
Hi, Jane. Do you need me to drop off the package at the post office?
Yes, please. I need it to be sent today.
No problem. I'll drop it off on my way to work.
Thank you. Can you also drop me off at the train station?
Sure, I can drop you off before I go to work.
That was a good example. Alex and Jane were talking about dropping off a package at the post office and also taking Jane to the train station.
That's right. Alex will drop Jane off at the train station and take the package to the post office.
Right. Chris, do you often drop people off somewhere?
Yes, I sometimes drop my friend off at the library when I go to work. How about you, Lisa?
I often drop my brother off at school in the morning. It's on my way to work, so it's easy for me.
That's very helpful of you. It's nice to help others by dropping them off at places they need to go.
Yes, it's a small thing, but it can be very helpful for them. So remember, if you want to talk about taking someone or something to a place and leaving them there, you can use the phrase, to drop somebody or something off.
Yes, and you can use it for people, like dropping a friend off at a place, or for things, like dropping off a package.
That's a great point, Chris. All right, everyone. Now the next word is our last word today. Could you explain it, Chris?
The last word is easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Oh, that's an interesting phrase. So, what does it mean, Chris?
Easier said than done is an idiom. This means that it is easy to talk about something, but it is difficult actually to do it.
Yes, exactly. It's like when someone says, you should wake up early every day. It sounds easy, but actually, doing it every day is hard.
Right. So, let's look at our first example sentence. It's easier said than done to finish all your homework in one night.
It means that it is easy to say you will finish all your homework in one night, but it is actually hard to do so.
Exactly. Now let's hear your example, Lisa.
Sure. Quitting smoking is easier said than done for many people.
It means that it's easy to say you will stop smoking, but it's hard actually to quit.
That's right. Now let's have a sample dialogue to show how to use easier said than done in a conversation.
Man, that's easier said than done.
Easier said than done, but I'm with you.
Maria, you should start exercising every morning. It's very good for you.
That's easier said than done, John. I have to wake up really early for work.
You can try going to bed earlier.
I know, but with my busy schedule, it's easier said than done.
So, in this dialogue, John suggests Maria start exercising every morning, but Maria finds it difficult because she has to wake up early for work.
Yes, and she says, that's easier said than done, to show that it's hard for her to do even though it sounds easy.
Right. It shows how sometimes things that sound easy are actually hard to do.
Chris, have you ever had a moment when something was easier said than done?
Oh, yes, many times. For example, when I tried to learn how to play the guitar, I thought it would be easy, but it was much harder than I expected. What about you, Lisa?
Yes, for me, it was learning to cook. People said, just follow the recipe. But it was easier said than done because there were so many things to remember and get right.
That's true. Sometimes we don't realize how difficult something can be until we try it ourselves.
Exactly. And that's why this phrase is so useful. It helps us talk about the difference between talking about something and actually doing it. And remember, if you find something hard to do, it's okay to say, that's easier said than done. Okay, that's it for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed learning about easier said than done and other words.
We hope you found our explanations helpful and easy to understand.
We're so glad you joined us. Tune in to the next episode for more words to improve your English.
Until next time, keep practicing and have fun with English.
Thanks for listening. Take care and see you soon. Hello, everyone. The podcast where we make learning English fun and easy.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Lisa. In each episode, we break down English words and phrases so that you can learn them easily.
Let's get started and make English simple together.
What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is appetite. Then we will continue with to poke and to take over. Then to put one's mind to something. And the final one is keep something for rainy days.
Let's start with the first word, Eric.
The first word is appetite.
Great choice. Appetite is a noun that means the feeling of wanting to eat food. It's when you feel hungry and want to eat something.
Yes, and appetite can also mean a strong desire for something, like to learn or go on an adventure.
Right. But today we will focus on the first meaning, which is related to food. For example, you can say, you have a big appetite, if you are very hungry.
Exactly. Now let's look at some example sentences to understand them better. The first sentence is after playing football, I had a big appetite for pizza.
It means that after playing football, you were very hungry and wanted to eat pizza. Your appetite was strong because you used a lot of energy.
Yes, and here's another one. She didn't have much appetite for breakfast this morning.
It means that she was not very hungry in the morning and didn't want to eat much for breakfast. Her appetite was small.
These examples show that appetite is used to talk about how hungry you are or how much you want to eat.
Remember, appetite is usually used with words like big or small to describe how much you want to eat.
So after the movie clips, let's have a sample dialogue using appetite. I'll be a friend and you can be a cook, Lisa.
That sounds good to me. Let's start.
I hear you got a big appetite, lord ass.
Let's go. Suddenly I lost my appetite.
Hey Lisa, I'm so hungry today. I have a big appetite.
That's great. I made a lot of food. Do you have an appetite for pasta?
Yes, I love pasta. My appetite is huge right now.
Perfect. I'll serve you a big plate to satisfy your appetite.
Thank you, Lisa. I can't wait to eat.
That was a good dialogue to show how appetite can be used in a conversation. Eric, do you usually have a big appetite after exercise?
Yes, I do. After I exercise, my appetite is usually very big. I need to eat a lot to get my energy back.
What's your favorite food when you have a big appetite?
I love eating pasta or pizza when I have a big appetite. I find them very filling and delicious.
Those are great choices. Eric, sometimes we might not have a big appetite based on our situation, right?
Yes, sometimes if I'm very tired or not feeling well, my appetite is small. I don't feel like eating much on those days.
That's normal. Like me, our appetite can change depending on how we feel.
Absolutely.
It's important to listen to our body and eat when we're hungry.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, I think our viewers have understood how to use appetite. So let's move on to the next word, Eric.
The next word is to poke.
To poke.
To poke.
To poke is a verb. It means to push something with your finger or a pointed object.
Yes, and we often use it in our conversations. For example, you can say, I like to poke the cake to see if it's done.
Really?
No, I was just joking. It was just an example.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me give another example. I poked the balloon with a pin and it popped.
It means that she used a pin, a small sharp object, to push against the balloon. The balloon then made a loud noise and broke because it was poked.
Right. Now, another one. He poked his friend on the arm to get his attention.
It means that he touched his friend's arm with his finger to make his friend notice him.
Yes, and that's how we use to poke. Remember, you usually need an object after poke. You poke something or someone.
Exactly. And now, let's listen to a dialogue that uses to poke, but we will watch 2 movie clips before the dialogue.
Well, what if I poke you?
Don't poke me.
He would poke me in the chest with the finger.
Hey, John, look at that cake. Should we poke it to see if it's soft?
I don't think that's a good idea, Anna. Remember the last time you poked a cake? It collapsed.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Maybe we shouldn't poke it then.
That was a fun dialogue. What do you think, Eric?
Yes, it was. Anna really likes to poke things, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Seems that she likes poking cakes.
It's a bit weird, but anyway, John remembers the last time what happened when she poked a cake.
That's right. Poking a cake might not be a good idea.
I agree, but sometimes poking can be useful, like poking someone to get their attention.
Yes, but always be gentle when you poke someone. You don't want to hurt them.
Very true. I also think it's interesting that we use to poke in different ways. For example, you can poke something just to check it.
That's a good point. But always remember to be kind when you poke fun at someone.
Exactly, Lisa. So we hope our listeners now understand the word to poke better.
I hope so, Eric. So can you explain the next word, Eric?
Sure. The next word is to take over.
To take over.
To take over.
Great choice, Eric. To take over means to start doing or getting control of something that someone else was doing before.
Yes, and it's often used when one person or group takes the position in a job or role. For example, if your boss leaves, a new person might take over their job.
To take over is usually followed by an activity or responsibility. For example, take over the project, take over the company, or take over the class.
Now, let's give some example sentences to make it clearer. The first sentence is, after Mr. Smith retired, Ms. Brown took over his position.
It means that Ms. Brown started doing Mr. Smith's job after he stopped working. So, she is now doing what Mr. Smith used to do.
Exactly. Here's another one. When the teacher got sick, another teacher had to take over the class.
It means that another teacher started teaching the class because the original teacher was not able to do it.
Now, let's have a sample dialogue using to take over after the movie clips.
I want you to take over the firm.
I'm asking you to take over the show for 6 weeks.
Hello, Rosa. As you know, I'm going on a long vacation next month. Could you take over my duties while I'm away?
Sure, Jack, I can take over your tasks. What exactly do I need to do?
You will need to take over managing the team and handle the reports. I'll show you how to do it before I leave.
Thank you, Jack. I'll make sure to take over everything smoothly.
That was a nice dialogue. Eric, do you often hear people using to take over at work?
Yes, I do. It's very common, especially when someone needs to replace another person temporarily.
Have you ever had to take over someone else's job?
Yes, I had to take over a colleague's project last year when they went on leave. It was challenging but interesting.
Oh, that sounds like a big responsibility. How did you handle it?
I made a plan and talked to the team to make sure we could finish the project on time. It was a great learning experience.
That's a great example of how to take over can be used in real life. It shows that taking over can be both a challenge and an opportunity.
Absolutely, and it's a useful phrase to know in both work and everyday situations.
I hope our listeners found this explanation and dialogue helpful.
I hope so, Lisa. Okay, the next word is put one's mind to something.
Put one's mind to something.
Put one's mind to something.
Oh, that's a useful phrase. Put one's mind to something is an idiom. It means to focus and work hard on something until it is done.
Yes, you can use it to say that someone is determined to achieve something. For example, she can do anything if she puts her mind to it.
Good example. Another one. If you put your mind to it, you can learn a new language.
It means that if you are determined to focus and work hard on learning a new language, you will be able to do it.
Exactly. Here's another example. He put his mind to finishing the project by the end of the week.
It means that he concentrated and worked hard to complete the project by the end of the week.
Perfect. When you say, put one's mind to something, you often use to followed by a verb with ing form, like put your mind to learning, or put your mind to finishing.
That's right. Now, let's listen to a dialogue that uses this idiom. Two students, Sarah and Tom, are talking about their studies.
I think you can do a lot better if you put your mind to it.
If I put my mind to it, I can be whatever I want to be.
I'm not sure if I can pass the math exam. It's really hard.
Don't worry, Sarah. You can pass it if you put your mind to it.
Do you think so? I really want to do well.
Yes, just focus and study hard. You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
That was a motivating dialogue. What did you think, Eric?
Yes, it was. Tom really believes in Sarah's ability to pass the exam.
Yes, he does. He told her that she could do anything if she put her mind to it.
That's right. And Sarah just needs to concentrate and work hard.
Exactly. Sometimes, we just need to put our minds to something to achieve our goals.
I agree. It's all about focus and determination. Have you ever had to put your mind to something, Lisa?
Yes, I had to put my mind to learning to play the guitar. It was difficult, but I kept practicing, and now I can play many songs.
That's great. It shows that you can achieve a lot if you put your mind to it.
Absolutely. I think we have explained the idiom fairly enough. Let's continue to the last one today.
Okay, Lisa. The last word is keep something for rainy days.
Keep something for rainy days.
Keep something for rainy days.
That's another interesting phrase. Keep something for rainy days is an idiom.
Yes, Lisa. It means to save something, usually money, for a time when you might need it, especially in difficult times. You can use it to talk about being prepared for unexpected situations. For example, she always keeps some money for rainy days.
Exactly. Let's give our listeners some examples. I'll start. Here's the first sentence. You should keep some money for rainy days in case you lose your job.
It means that you should save some money now, so you have it in the future if something bad happens, like losing your job.
And it's important to remember that for a rainy day is a metaphor. What it really means is a hard or uncertain time in the future, not a day when it rains. Okay, my example. I always keep some canned food for rainy days in case there's an emergency.
It means that the person saves canned food now to use in the future if there is an emergency, like a big storm or another problem.
That's right. So, when you keep something for rainy days, you're preparing for the future, just in case something bad happens. Now, let's listen to a dialogue that uses this phrase.
I'm thinking about buying a new phone, but it's expensive.
Maybe you should keep some money for rainy days instead, Alex.
Why? I really want the new phone.
It's good to have some savings for emergencies. You never know when you'll need it.
You're right. I guess I'll keep some money for rainy days and buy the phone later.
That was a useful dialogue. It shows the importance of saving money just in case.
Yes, it does. Jane gave Alex some good advice about keeping money for rainy days.
Yes, she did. Sometimes it's better to save than to spend all your money at once.
That's so true. It's important to be prepared for unexpected situations, like losing a job or having a big expense.
Exactly. Do you have any examples of when you kept something for rainy days, Eric?
Yes, I always keep some extra savings for emergencies. It helps me feel safe and ready for anything that might happen.
That's smart. I also keep some money for rainy days, not too much, just in case I need it for a surprise bill or a trip.
It's always a good idea to be prepared, and our listeners can think about how they can keep something for rainy days in their own lives.
Absolutely. We hope our listeners keep some money for rainy days.
Yes, and we highly recommend they keep something for rainy days. It doesn't have to be much.
Good advice, Eric.
Okay, our followers, that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found our explanations helpful and easy to understand.
We're so glad you joined us. Don't forget to tune in to the next episode for more words to make your English better.
Until next time, keep practicing and have fun with English. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Take care and see you soon.